This is an article from CNN.com dated June 18, 2025. This is going to be the premise of the lesson that I'm going to touch on today, all through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now, I'll start here. It says, highly microplastic polluted U.S. coastal waters linked to serious health risks, study finds. Now, it goes on to say, living near heavily microplastic polluted waters along the United States coastline may significantly raise the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, stroke, and coronary artery disease, a condition in which plaque blocks the blood vessels feeding the heart, a new study found. This is one of the first large-scale studies to suggest that living near water heavily polluted with microplastics may be linked to chronic health conditions, said senior author Dr. Suraju Janatra, medical director of sustainability and vice chair of research in the Department of Medicine at Leahy Hospital and Medical Center in Burlington, Massachusetts. While this study measured pollution in ocean water, pollution isn't limited to the sea. Microplastics are everywhere, in drinking water, in the food we eat, especially seafood, and even in the air we breathe. The study, however, makes sweeping accusations or associations between ocean data spanning 200 nautical miles, overlooks many variables, and cannot establish causation to individual health outcomes. Well, you have what's known as forever chemicals. And the cause of it is the man who's ruling, the wicked that's ruling. The whole earth is out of course because of the wicked ruling. That's the cause of it. And we'll show that here in a second. It goes on to say, understanding microplastics is a complex global challenge, and we are focused on solutions that stop plastic from becoming a source of pollution in the first place. Now it talks about all this, the whole idea of recycling. Now here it says, what are microplastics? Microplastics are polymer fragments that can range from less than 0.2 inches or 5 millimeters down to 1 1/25,000th of an inch. Anything smaller is a nanoplastic that must be measured in billionth of a meter. So damn near microscopic, right? Such minuscule particles can invade individual cells and tissues and major organs. Experts say potentially interrupting cellular processes and depositing endocrine disrupting chemicals such as bisphenols, so on and so forth, blah, 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 blah. So these things are terrible for your body, right? These microplastics, forever chemicals. Now, this article don't touch much on the forever chemicals, but that's another issue that comes from being polluted. And a lot of the plastic, a lot of things that are containers that we buy things in, the majority are plastic. BPA is in there. All of these things do what? They cause problems with pollution and problems with our cells, breaking down the cells, the bloodstream, different health conditions, chronic, and or not. So there's a lot of issues that come from that. And this whole issue is because the whole world is out of course because the wicked is rule. It says the causation, they couldn't find what was the cause of it. Well, the cause of it is Esau, Edom, who's ruling. That's the cause of it. That's the culprit. This is Psalm 82:5. It says, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. So the whole entire world, the scriptures is letting us know, is turned upside down. It's all out of course. So the whole world is in darkness. This is Isaiah 60:2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Adonai Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. That is for the believers who have this truth, starting with the men of the Lord, the prophets, the 144,000. It's just the head of the house of Israel. So the glory of the Lord is being seen because the men of the Lord have the testimony of Yahushua. But the average everyday individuals on the earth, they're walking on here, as it says in Psalm 82:5, in darkness. So the whole earth is out of course. The whole earth is completely out of course. This is the book of Isaiah 24, a few that come to mind. In verse 4, it says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and have broken the everlasting covenant. So this is the reason why the laws of the Most High and the covenant, which was given to the Israelites, is not being upheld. Another example of that is the wicked ruling, as we read here in Job 9:24. And one of the things the wicked doesn't, do is follow the laws of the Most High, which there we have a land Sabbath. They don't follow that. So why do you think that there's problems in certain areas with growing things, and that everything is out of order? Because who is actually ruling? That's why it says that the earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Now who's ruling the earth? Job or Ayawab 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So who is the wicked? If it's not Esau, the man of sin, is ruling in wickedness. If he's not the wicked, then who and where is the wicked at? So Esau is the man of sin, and he's also known not only as the man of sin, but let's get him right here in Malachi. He's also known and understood to be the wicked, but the Most High goes even further as it pertains to the man of sin, as it pertains to Esau, the so-called white man. Malachi 1:4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh have indignation forever. Let's read that in the NLT. Malachi 1:4 in the NLT. Esau's descendants in Edom may say, we have been shattered, but we will rebuild the ruins. But the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies replies, they may try to rebuild, but I will demolish them again. Their country will be known as the land of wickedness. So Babylon the Great is known as the land of wickedness in the sight of the Most High. And their people will be called the people with whom the Lord Yahweh is forever angry. So his anger is never going to go away. Never going to go away. So once again, Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And where the wicked would be ruling here in Babylon, the Great America, would be known as the border of wickedness, or the land of wickedness. The land of wickedness. So that's why you see everything, as we read in Psalm 82, is completely out of course. Everything is out of course. So now, let's show that even further. This is it talked about the problems and issues we have in our bodies. And there's many, and there's more than even what they're putting out. So what's the real issue with these microplastics and forever chemicals? That wasn't spoken about particularly in that article, but that's another issue. Well, what's the whole deal with that? Well, the earth is being ruled in wickedness. This is Ezekiel 4:13. It says, and the Lord Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel, which are the 12 tribes today, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and Israelites that are foreigners scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Ezekiel 4:13 again, and the Lord Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, among the heathen nations, the Gentile nations, whither I will drive them. That's why we are polluted and defiled. So we eating defiled bread. So it's in our food, it's in the air, it said, in the water, it's in everything. So everything is completely destroyed because of who's ruling. Let's show that further. This is the book of Micah 2 in verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Depart from the ways of Babylon, the ways of the world. because it says, because for this is not your rest, because you're never going to find peace in the world. Because it is polluted, and that's what we're talking about. These microplastics are polluting the earth. The forever chemicals are polluting the earth. The man of sin is polluting and defiling everything that's in the earth. He's even trying to actually do the same thing in space. There's trash in space. There's trash in the ocean the size of Texas, which is a lot of plastic. How did it get like this? Who's pushing that? Who's the ruler? Who's the leader of the so-called free world? Micah 2:10, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. So following the ways of this man and staying in the mindset of being an American, you're free. Really, you're in captivity, you're in slavery. And that this way of living, Western culture, promoting it, and feminism and all forms of wickedness, being in line with this is what's going to make you become destroyed, because it's all polluted. The scripture just told us, and it's telling us the same thing over and over again. Everything is completely out of course. So if you don't return to truth, then you're going to go down with Esau, and you're going to go down with Babylon. Isaiah 47, and these are the words of the Most High. Isaiah 47 and verse 6, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hands. So the Most High gave us over to the heathen for disobedience, which the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26 shows that throughout the scriptures. So the Most High said he was wroth, he was angry, he was hard on his people. I have polluted mine inheritance, and we were polluted by being given over to the heathen for disobedience. And us being given over to the heathen, and for the heathen to rule over us, was an example of our people being completely given over to the curses, which the Most High made a promise. If you don't serve me, then I'm going to put the heathen over you. So the Most High said, I polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand, the heathen. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. So the Most High gave us over, he said, to the heathen. Now, him giving us over to the heathen is why you see Israelites today in the condition that they're in a very low place on the earth. Now, let's show further. Get a few more before we close out. It's the book of Baruch 4 and verse 6. It says, ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction. So the Most High gave us over to the nations. It wasn't to completely destroy us. Baruch 4 and 6, ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because ye moved the Most High to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. So our people were given over because they weren't complicit with coming back to serving the Most High according to his word, which was a covenant and agreement. So the Most High said it wasn't to destroy you here in Baruch 4 and 6, but because you moved him to wrath. You sacrifice unto devils and not to the Most High. You wouldn't serve your God, Yahweh, through his son, whose name is Yahweh Shah. Now let's show this and close it out. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 14th chapter comes to mind. In verse 10, it says, for the world has lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old. Let's read that again. 2nd Ezra 14 and 10. It says, for the world has lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old. So the world, by and large, as it said in Psalm 82 and 5, the whole earth is out of course. That is all, defiled under the inhabitants thereof, under who's ruling the earth, the wicked. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. So the earth has lost its youth. It's not youthful anymore. It's like going from a stage to being a young teenager, early 20s, to being 80 or 90 years old. That's how the earth is now. And from all this pollution and microplastics and forever chemicals and all the things they're doing in the atmosphere, the barium, aluminum, chemtrails, all these things that we know about and things we don't know about. The water, the land, everything, the air, everything is polluted. So we need Yahweh Shah. And the elect are waiting for the return of Yahweh Shah and actually working out their own salvation with fear and trembling, doing the works that's required. The script, Yahweh Shah said the kingdom don't come by observation. So by actually doing the work, that's what's bringing the kingdom, right? Which is rulership to the children of Israel, because we are the kingdom. The third temple, the building block to the kingdom is the elect coming back together as that body of Hamashiach, that body of the, let me get that, as the body of the anointed. Don't want to make this too long. Ephesians, the 5th chapter. So this is the book of Ephesians 5 and verse 27. It says, I'll start at 26, Ephesians 5 and 26. It says, let's read it in the NLT. It says, to make her holy and clean, speaking of Israel, washed by the cleansing of God's word. That's how we become washed and become clean and become cleansed, is by taking heed to the word. He did this to present her, speaking of Israel, to himself as a glorious church without a spot or wrinkle or any other blemish. Instead, she will be holy and without fault. So the elect are going to be found holy and without fault. Now let's go back a few chapters here. So that's how the elect are going to be found. Because if you go by a person in the world today, they would say, well, you can't judge me. Only God can judge me. And there ain't nobody righteous or perfect. You know, everybody is pretty much sinners. Well, the elect are going to be given exemption from the judgment that's to come. And that's the difference between the believers and the non-believers, the elect and the non-elect. Is the believers are going to actually return. Ephesians 1 and 3. Blessed be the God and Father of Adonai Nawa, or our Lord Yahweh Shai, the anointed of Mashiach, who have blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in the anointed of Mashiach, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. So the men, women, and children that's of the elect were chosen before the world ever was. They were already numbered and called. Reading that again, Ephesians 1 and 4, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. So that explains why it says here in Ephesians 5 and 27 we read, and I'll read it in the KJV, that he may present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blame. So that makes perfect sense here. Ephesians 1 and 4, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we, the believers, the elect, I don't want to write the Zah, we're of that number, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. And why is that? Verse 5, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children, right? So that's us being brought back into favor with the Most High. Us being brought back into good standing with the Most High. We've been adopted back through the blood of Yahweh Shai. And ultimately now through us having faith and presenting righteous works to the best of our ability, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the anointed, to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. So this was the will of the Most High. And it said once again, to himself. That's Yahweh Shai presenting this glorious church before the Most High God, before Yahweh, who people call God and Jehovah, Yahweh, the Most High, and his son Yahweh Shai. So this is all the beautiful thing that's going on, which is in the midst of us being in hell and dealing with all of this wickedness that's going on and evil that's been sown in the earth from the beginning, that grain of evil seed. Now through the truth, we can come back and actually serve our power. We can actually praise him and call on his name and have faith in his word and have the knowledge of the truth. We have the commandments, and there's a light and a guide and a lamp, right? So the water Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai for all of his blessings, Kaya Kal Barakim Ka. And may the Most High continue to bless and keep you, Akim and you, Akwath, the Habakarium, the elect, right unto the end, Laquat Tazah. I want to give all praises, infinite honor, and glory to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halor Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All praises be to the Most High God, Yahweh, and his son whose name is Yahweh Shai. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel, Barakim La, Habayath, Madawadah. Blessings to the house of David, which are your brothers laboring, and to the Akyam wa Agwath, which are the brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel that's being preached throughout the four corners of the earth. Unto you I say Shalom, Shalom, and Barakatham.